Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a young pretty girl who liked to wear a red cape with a hood all the time. Because she always wore a red cape with a hood, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood was playing outside her house when her mother called her. "My dear, please come inside," yelled her mother. "I'm here, Mommy," replied Little Red Riding Hood. "I need you to take some food to your grandmother's house. Your grandmother is sick and needs our help," said her mother. Little Red Riding Hood nodded and helped her mother put all the food in a basket. "The woods can be a dangerous place for a little girl, so don't go off the path and don't stop and talk to anyone," warned her mother. "I won't, Mommy," replied Little Red Riding Hood as she kissed her mother goodbye. Little Red Riding Hood skipped down the forest path with the basket of food for her grandmother. There were beautiful flowers in the forest, and Little Red Riding Hood decided to pick some for her grandmother. "These flowers will make my grandmother feel better." Suddenly, a big wolf appeared. Little Red Riding Hood was very afraid. She dropped the flowers and cried, "Please don't hurt me." "Hurt you? Why would I hurt you?" asked the wolf, as he picked up the flowers and handed them to her. Little Red Riding Hood smiled. "Who are the flowers for?" asked the wolf. "My grandmother. She is sick, and I thought the flowers would make her feel better," replied Little Red Riding Hood. "You are a good granddaughter. I hope your grandmother feels better soon," said the wolf as he disappeared into the forest. The wolf took a shortcut to Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who is it?" asked the grandmother. The wolf softened his voice. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood." The grandmother opened the door and screamed when she saw the big wolf. The grandmother quickly climbed the stairs and shut the attic door. The wolf couldn't get into the attic. He placed a chair under the attic's doorknob so the grandmother couldn't get out. "I'll get you later," said the wolf. The wolf put on the grandmother's nightgown, bonnet, and glasses. He then climbed into the grandmother's bed to wait for Little Red Riding Hood. A half-hour later, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" asked the wolf, trying to sound like her grandmother. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood." "Come in, the door is open," said the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood walked over to her grandmother's bed. "I brought you some food and flowers. How are you feeling?" she asked. "Not too well, my dear. Why don't you come a little closer?" Little Red Riding Hood got closer and said, "Oh my, what big eyes you have, grandmother." "All the better to see you with." "And what big hands you have, grandmother." "All the better to hug you with. Come closer and give your grandmother a hug." Little Red Riding Hood got closer and noticed her big teeth. "Oh my, what big teeth you have, grandmother." "All the better to eat you with," growled the wolf. The wolf chased Little Red Riding Hood around the house. Little Red Riding Hood was screaming and crying. A hunter heard all the noise and rushed to the house. The hunter saw the wolf and hit him at once with his axe. The wolf was dead. There, little girl. The wolf can't hurt you anymore," said the hunter. "My grandmother! Where is my grandmother?" cried Little Red Riding Hood. Suddenly they heard a sound coming from the attic. The hunter and Little Red Riding Hood ran up the stairs and removed the chair from the attic door. They opened the door and found the grandmother inside, scared but safe. The grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood thanked the hunter. Then they made him a nice dinner to eat. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood never went off the path when walking to her grandmother's house, and she never talked to strangers anymore.